Research shows that the toxic level of vitamin D3 can be when using 10,000 international units or above, depending on which scientific paper you read, because there is some slight variation on this. Personally, I take 100,000 units a day, which is 10 times the toxic level. The three questions you've probably got now are: 1, what determines the toxic level? 2, how have I actually made it safe for myself? And 3, how do I know that I'm safe instead of just assuming it? We'll answer number 1 first. One of the key papers that decided the level of D3 that people shouldn't go over is this one. And you're very welcome to not just read it, but read between the lines too. For instance, the paper admits that toxicity is more likely to be seen somewhere above, let's say, 750 of the specific units they're using, but they think they should tell the public not to go over 250 in order to ensure a wide safety margin. What this means, unless I'm mistaken, is that there's huge leeway of the recommended level in case people do go over it, so that there's still not much risk of toxicity even if they do. So automatically I know now that whatever the recommended level is, it's there potentially and partly just to reduce the incidence rate of toxicity rather than because that's the true toxic level, which is understandable, to be fair. Now, this is the sort of thing that makes me so keen to question what I'm told in medicine all the time, and hopefully you guys can appreciate why I'm so critical of so many things in the medical field now. I'm aware that my channel seems quite negative at times, but that's purely because there's so much around that I like to point out. And this is potentially one of those examples which hopefully you can see now. In fact, I can remember as a child listening to a conversation between my dad, who's a doctor, and one of his colleagues, and they were talking about changing the level at which people should be diagnosed with a particular disease once they get the blood tests back. And I can still to this day remember very clearly they were both very pissed off about it, saying that you can't diagnose someone with the disease when the level of what they're measuring for isn't that bad. But they're just doing it because it makes more people get diagnosed with it. Then there's more patients being put on a particular drug. That then makes a particular drug company much more money. I'm sorry to say it, but this is not only complete and utter and a disgrace that our field should be embarrassed about, but it's not uncommon either. So if you see me being more and more negative with bits of positive in between, it's because I'm trying to show members of the public what the world of medicine is really like behind the scenes. Question number 2, how have I made it safe? In the most basic of layman's terms, vitamin D3 is information to your body that the sun is out. This then causes a need for other nutrients. Now, before I go on, I 100% have to tell you right here and now that to go through this subject fully will take at least a full day, and what you're seeing now is simply a shortened YouTube version, which is why I recommend seeking professional advice. Carrying on though, when your body has this information of D3 being present, it then carries out a sequence of processes. These processes then in turn require other nutrients to be present, such as magnesium, zinc, vitamin K2, etc. This is why you often find D3 supplements combined with things like K2. So it's not like this is controversial information either. Even commercially available products that you can buy from a general drugstore obey this exact principle. One of the main problems, amongst others though, that high D3 causes is excessive calcium levels. This is called hypercalcemia. There are other problems too, but again, this is why this topic will take at least a full day to fully go through. So anyway, what I realize is that it's not necessarily the D3 that's the issue. It's the processes it's connected to which cause the issues. For instance, if we don't have enough vitamin K2 with high D3 in the form of MK4, MK7, then we get left with calcium in the wrong place in our bodies, because K2's job is to utilize enzymes like osteocalcin and matrix GLA protein to keep calcium in the right place. So think about it now. You have a high D3 amount and this causes calcium to come into play. But because you don't have the thing that keeps it in the right place, and this is what we call hypercalcemia. Now, again, this is simplified for YouTube, but the principle is understandable. The example that I've given should show you the principles of vitamin D3 triggering downstream processes, and then those processes, to keep everything nice and healthy, need specific nutrients. And when those other nutrients aren't present, that's when problems start to occur, such as hypercalcemia. Now, I've only used calcium and K2 in this example, but you can repeat this principle for other nutrients like the ones I've mentioned already, such as magnesium and zinc and selenium, etc. So to make it safe, I've simply ensured that I don't have any nutrient deficiencies elsewhere, so that if D3 causes a need for those other nutrients, I'm okay because they're ready to be used. It's simple in concept, but it can be complex to apply clinically for different people, and there's no universal regime for everyone to follow, which is why I recommend seeing someone professionally. It's not that I don't want to help you guys, it's that what one person needs can genuinely be harmful for someone else, or the opposite, and not even have any effect. For those interested, I have put a regime up for you at the end of this video, but this is intended solely as an example rather than a recommendation for you all to follow, because I know you're all going to ask for comments, for examples in the comments anyway. Number 3, how do I know that I'm safe instead of just assuming it? It's very simple. I get my blood work done semi-regularly, and there are absolutely no issues anywhere whatsoever, including the hypercalcemia, for example, that we talked about already. And I feel absolutely none of the warned about symptoms of excess D3 dosing too. All my nutrient levels are absolutely fine and perfect and exactly where they should be. In fact, patients of mine that I've helped have overcome diabetes, IBS, psoriasis, acne, etc., by using this kind of supplementation in combination with other things for specific cases, like supplementation in combination with skincare for acne planning, or combining supplementation with LED treatment for psoriasis planning, or maybe even looking at supplementation with digestive enzymes and food intolerance tests for IBS, etc., etc. Does this all mean that I will always be 100% fine for the rest of my life? Honestly, I don't know. That's why I do regular blood work, still try and have a healthy lifestyle, and admit that I don't have hard scientific evidence to show that my regime will work for absolutely everyone.